Welcome to the Bamgboshe Happy Hour. I am Peju Bamgboshe Rothlisberger.
Hi everyone, and I'm Naomi Bamgboshe.
And this is the Bamgboshe Happy Hour Pop Edition. How are you, Mom? What's up?
Oh, wonderful, sweetie, on this gorgeous beginning of spring. Oh, I love it. What's going on with you, daughter?
Oh, well, I'm not up to my fighting weight yet, but I'm hanging in there, and I'm happy to be back on the podcast.
All right, good.
Like you said, spring is in the air.
That's right.
I may sound a little different for a little bit, but I'll be back to myself soon.
You sound fine, daughter.
Okay. All right. So let's start the show off, as we always do, with a toast. I think there are two people we can give a nice toast to. One is Mariah Carey, of course, who was honored at the iHeart Music Awards, and she was being the diva that we all love. And also to Mina Kimes, who had a very poignant little segment regarding Jackie Robinson today on ESPN. So go ahead, Mom.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, let's lift our glasses to, I'm going to say 3 people. We're going to lift our glasses to Mariah, Mina, and the late, great icon, Jackie Robinson. Continued wonderful legacy and memory, long life and prosperity, health, wealth, and happiness. Salud.
Salud. Okay. All right, let's get started with some sports. Now, the Cincinnati Bengals have recently secured contract extensions for wide receivers Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, ensuring that both of them remain with the team for the foreseeable future. Jamar Chase signed a 4-year, $161 million contract, and 112 of that amount was guaranteed. This is the most for a non-quarterback in history.
Okay.
And T. Higgins agreed to a 4-year, $115 million contract, with the first 2 years fully guaranteed. So this is really good for the Cincinnati Bengals, who almost made the playoffs this year. They got off to a very, very slow start, and they say that Joe Burrow put his influence in with these contracts. He made sure that he got his boys paid. Now, mind you, he played with both of these guys in college. Okay.
Oh, wonderful.
So,
okay.
Good for them. They just need to work on their defense, but that's a whole nother story. Now, the story in the NFL, or one of the major stories, because we know one of the major stories is where does Shador Sanders go? But the other major story is middle-aged Aaron Rodgers is a free agent for the first time in his career. Like I said, at the age of 41.
Okay.
He remains undecided on where he wants to go.
He has that many options, daughter?
Well, he wanted to go to the Minnesota Vikings, but the Minnesota Vikings didn't want him.
Okay.
They have decided not to pursue him and to stick with their young quarterback that they had that was injured.
Right. Okay.
But the Steelers seem to want him, and the Giants want him. Now, the Steelers want him, but there has been some players, and particularly one that we know of that spoke out loud and proud, Cam Hayward, that said he's not going to be, with the pom-poms trying to get Aaron Rodgers over to the Steelers. Either he wants to be the quarterback of the Steelers or he doesn't.
Right.
The Giants may have other options as well, as they did so poorly that they may have a chance at
first round pick
of getting Shador Sanders.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
So
okay.
So we don't know. And Aaron Rodgers, there's like a picture of him on the beach, and we know it was just like a photo op where he was just like in deep thought, trying to figure out like what he's doing, what's his next moves. Get out of here.
Yeah,
Aaron
he's
Rodgers.
always very thoughtful.
So, like I said, Aaron Rodgers, is
always thinking about himself.
A selfish,
always being a prima
older
donna.
quarterback who does not bring
productive.
And doesn't even bring that leadership to the team anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
And finally, Russell Wilson. Where will Russell Wilson end up? Now, I know Russell Wilson wanted to come back to the Steelers. The Steelers are waiting on Aaron Rodgers. I don't like that.
Right.
They also let Justin Fields go. And Justin Fields, I think, would have probably been a good option as a young quarterback who just turned 26.
I don't understand. I understand, what Aaron Rodgers used to be, but he only has one ring.
Right.
Guess what? And he's not that now.
He hasn't been that for a few years now. And he has a bad attitude.
Right.
So, because like when Peyton, at the end of his career, Peyton wasn't the same person, but his mind was the same. And he was able to bring that leadership and
to the team
and do all of that stuff.
He had
set an example.
Value. He had that gravitas.
Right.
He really had it.
Right.
Even almost still has it now.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we don't know where Russ is going. The Giants do want Russ.
Right.
And then the Browns want Russ.
All right.
So we'll see. So he will be somewhere.
Good luck to everybody, Aaron included, But teams, get a grip, okay? Realize when you are, getting Aaron Rodgers, what you are getting. Mm-hmm. You're getting what he is now, not what he was 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Hell, even 5 years ago.
Right. So please understand, okay? And the real thing that he could bring, he has not shown that he will bring, and that's his leadership ability. We have not seen that from Aaron Rodgers.
No, he does not have a good attitude.
Okay? And that we know he could bring if he wanted to.
Okay. So moving on, let's just go a little briefly with the NBA. We know that the Oklahoma City Thunder are leading the conference with, well, I'm not going to say the actual number now because by the time you hear it, it'll be a different number. But many people, they've already secured a spot in playoffs, and many people feel that they're the team to beat. In the West, the Los Angeles Lakers are hanging in there despite LeBron James being out due to his injury, but Luka's coming on strong. Wonderful. And I think that they could make a push. Let's see.
All right.
In the East, the Cleveland Cavaliers are the ones holding the top spot, followed by the Boston Celtics, who are the defending champions. Now, a lot of people talked bad about the Suns, who are not technically in the playoffs right now, if the playoffs will be held today. They are making some moves a little bit, winning the past few games, and there's a possibility that they'll be in the play-in tournament. So we'll see what happens with them. March Madness is going on now, which is always exciting, and we'll keep you posted on that as the tournament furthers. All right. Let's get into some not so great news.
Thank you for those updates, daughter.
You're welcome. That was
I meant to say it. Thank you.
My bad.
So good. Yes.
Okay. Somebody that we don't really like to talk about, but we're mentioning because they're spiraling again, and I think that at any time they don't get attention, as Kanye West, we hear about this person.
Oh goodness.
Just so many different conflicts, from obviously a conflict with Kim over their daughter Northwest, and Kanye criticized Kim for attempting to control their daughter, and then mentioning about this white woman is taking control over.
How about that's her mother?
Right.
That's her mother. Regardless that your relationship with her has dissolved by way of divorce,
right,
and your co-parenting situation seems to have dissolved by a way of your lunacy.
It's just been a lot of stuff going on.
That white woman is her mother.
And he's been bringing all types of people into it. There was
whatever type of color she is. What about you, that black man, her father?
And TMC reported that Kim K abruptly ended Northwest's visit with Kanye after learning from security guards that Andrew and Tristan Tate were on their way to the location and would be, in the presence of the daughter. Andrew Tate. Do you know of him?
I know of him.
Right-wing, racist, misogynistic, just a
like Kanye.
Terrible. Yes.
Only in different colored skin. Right.
Exactly. Right. And so it's just a lot of stuff going on there. Obviously, there's custody concerns. There's rumors that Kim is seeking sole custody of her 4 children. There's a lot going on there. Then we know what he said that was just mean and awful about Beyonce and Jay-Z's two small children.
Yeah, please don't repeat it.
I'm not going to repeat it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure everyone has seen it. Just a lot of stuff. The white supremacists, the swastika necklace that, you know, he's been displaying. You know, the prison call with Diddy. Just everything, and attacking Kendrick Lamar, now saying that he never liked not like us. Mind you, last year he loved Kendrick Lamar. Right. Now all of a sudden he's dissing him. He's dissed Tyler, the creator, just everything that you can think of. He's attacking these people. Right. And he's mad at Travis Scott and Pusha T because they sided with non-hate. They said that that there's no room for discrimination, and they do not condone hate speech, and so Kanye's against them.
So that rules out Kanye.
Right.
Okay. All right. So
any thoughts?
My thoughts are the same as they've been for years now regarding Kanye. Mm-hmm. You know, the thing about this country so far, I don't know, things are changing. But at this juncture, he's still pretty free to say what he wants to say in certain arenas. Right. And he seems to have found those arenas. And I wish he could find in his mind and in his heart peace and sanity. Right. And that's what I'm going to say about Kanye.
I'm sick of seeing things about Kanye. I want him to be completely muted from my timeline. I don't wish any ill will towards the man, but like I've said before on this podcast, if I don't hear anything else about Kanye West, I'll be a happy person.
Yeah, that'll be too soon.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Moving on to Mark Cuban, who had some controversial remarks. I don't know. He was at South by Southwest, which is here in Texas, actually in Austin.
It's in Austin, yeah.
Right. And he gave some advice to black women entrepreneurs, which I feel like he was talking to me a little bit, advising them to stop seeking external funding and instead focus on using sweat equity to build their businesses. He emphasized the importance of starting small, learning about the businesses, and understanding the languages of lenders to make their business loan worthy. Now, he did explain the process involves both business development and financial literacy, but I don't understand this whole thing about sweat equity. So everybody else can get a piece of the pie, but black women and women in general, they aren't allowed a piece of the pie because of what? And financial literacy, a lot of people learn because they have an opportunity to be the recipient of some of these grants and loans.
Right.
I'm just really confused. Go ahead.
Okay, so number one, that's no advice at all, okay? Because I'm pretty sure none of these individuals going into a business are thinking in terms of, it's going to be easy. I won't work hard. They already are vested completely in sweat equity, okay? So to give that advice is no advice at all, right? Okay? So, and historically, we know that African Americans have been shut out or shut down, okay? Right. Having nothing to do with their lack of sweat equity. Right. We understand all that. Okay, so that was no advice, aka bad advice. Right. Okay, however you want to look at it. Okay, that's number one. Number two, who the hell are you to say that? Right. Who the hell are you? Example. Who the hell are you to say that?
And then
to
you
black women?
And you sold your team. Who did you sell your team to?
Right. We won't even go into that thing. And then, wait a minute, number three, you're still on Shark Tank. Those people are there looking for funding.
I don't know if he's still on there or not.
Well, you were on there.
Yeah.
Were you being inauthentic then?
Yes.
Weren't you helping people
Apparently
then?
He was.
I mean, what's going on? You changed your mind? Or what? I don't even understand it.
I don't even pay attention to him anymore.
You contributed your time and your... How come what you say and what you do seems so inconsistent?
Yeah.
What's going on? Which one are you? Have you changed? Or were you never that person? What's going on?
No, you're right.
That's it. So much on him.
No, I'm really kind of disappointed in Mark Cuban because you know, in the beginning I thought he was an over, you know, zealous and excited owner. And then one day he just jumped up and sold his team.
Right.
And who did you sell your team to? And then shortly after, the team sold their best player, one of the greatest players of all time.
Right.
At the peak, and maybe not even the peak of his athletic ability.
So how much are you actually invested in seeing change? How much are you invested in seeing people with talent really do well? Just what's going on with you? Like you said, not only did you sell your team, look who you sold your team to. Are you like-minded? Are you like-minded? You're sounding that way.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Okay. So I'm not going to really get into it too much because don't really know all the details. But, you know, there was just a lot of drama on the Breakfast Club with you know, DJ Envy and Charlamagne. They were saying that Hilarious. Yeah, they were saying that she was fired, but apparently she wasn't fired. She went on Instagram Live and just kind of like blasted the show because she felt that she didn't fit on the show anymore and that she was being replaced by the woman Lauren, who actually did replace her during her maternity leave.
Right. And
she didn't understand why kind of like Lauren was still there when she came back from maternity leave and was doing her Just the Hilarious' former segment and doing it better than Just the Hilarious.
Yes, she's feeling a little insecure.
She felt insecure, and they hashed it out, on the radio station. But I hate that.
That's not the move for Just Hilarious.
I don't think she should have done that.
That's not the move for her.
I think that she should have, handled things differently,
on many different levels.
Yeah, I just feel that listen. This is all part of the game and all part of the business.
There you go.
If something isn't fit for you, there's always
space
for you.
You make your move.
Right.
That's it.
Right. So I didn't like that she did that. It showed a side of her.
Well, it actually will hurt her.
Yeah.
It actually will hurt her because some of those opportunities who may have been looking at her are now they're looking at. Is this what we gonna get from her?
Right.
You know. So that was not a smart move and Just Hilarious. A lot of people might say maybe that's why you're in the position you're in.
Yeah, I didn't.
Maybe that's why you're getting moved out by Lauren.
Well, let's see.
Okay.
And let's see. She has not been.
Yeah. But maybe a
lot of people are calling out that Lauren does a better job.
Well, all right
then. And maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. But don't worry about that because you do you.
Right. That's right. That's it.
Okay, moving on, not really much to say here about Tracy Morgan, but he revealed the cause of his medical emergency at the Madison Square Garden during the New York Knicks game. He is 56 years old. He was throwing up on the court side, and everyone saw that, and they were really worried. But he said that it really was just food poisoning, not anything serious. So please, guys, don't worry. He's fine.
Okay.
So take his word for it.
Me too. Okay.
Moving on to major news, and when I say major, I mean Jonathan Majors.
All right.
So, a couple things with Jonathan Majors, Ma. So, it is rumored that he and Megan Good got married, at a private ceremony on Tuesday.
Okay.
Also, newly revealed audio provided further details about the confrontation between Majors and his ex-girlfriend, Grace, in September of 2022.
Oh, goodness.
Majors said, "I'm ashamed I've ever," before cutting himself off. "I've never been aggressive with a woman before. I've never aggressed a woman. I aggressed you." And then she said, "You strangled me and pushed me against the car." He does not deny this. "Yes, all those things are under aggressed." "Yeah," he responds. "That's never happened to me." And she said, "Because I said something sarcastically in your eyes." "Well," he said, "well, it's more than that." And then she said, "Something inside of you." And he said, "Yeah, towards you." I'm sorry, that's not funny. That was not funny. Okay. What is not funny is that this man has admitted to abusing her, and it is on record. Now, he was found guilty.
Yes.
So there's not really much else that he can do.
Right.
But it's
it's not like he was unjustly found guilty.
But he denied doing all of these things.
Well, he had to until they pull out the receipts.
Right.
What could he do?
So this is just kind of sad.
He denied it, but it doesn't matter. It's a moot issue because he got found guilty. He was found guilty anyway.
And he is now married to Megan Good.
But
allegedly.
guess what? Nope. He's not going to be doing that to her. Unless he really is totally insane. He won't be doing that to her because...
He shouldn't have done it to Grace.
Of course. Well, that's not even an issue. He shouldn't do that to anyone.
Right.
Of course not. But guess what?
What?
He's been in anger management.
Mm-hmm. He's lost millions of dollars.
Right. He's turned into a more pacifist kind of guy.
Oh, boy.
He's got a woman who's not up and down in the middle of the street and getting drunk and carrying on. Right.
Stop it, Mom.
So, no. You know
he's a father, too.
That's lovely. Megan doesn't act like that.
It doesn't matter how you act.
No. She won't tolerate that from somebody who does.
Okay.
That's where I'm going with this.
Okay.
If I'm a person who will be whoop-de-doo, woo-woo, okay?
Yeah.
I might not be so judgmental on somebody else going whoop-de-doo, woo-woo-woo. But if I'm the type of person who, look, I don't lead my life that way. I don't want that in my life.
Yeah.
I'm less likely to tolerate it from somebody bringing that to me. So that's where I'm going with it. Mm-hmm. And he's opting for somebody who he already knows does not have that reputation.
That's true.
Or that history.
That's true. I hope he continues to heal, and I hope that Grace heals.
Absolutely. And guess what? I hope that Megan Good retains good sense enough to, extricate herself from any type of difficult situation, and I believe she will, and I believe she does.
I
have that confidence in her simply because
of how she's carried herself.
Right.
I wish her well.
Me too.
I wish her luck.
Yeah, good luck to both of them. Jonathan, good luck to you,
And good luck to that woman, Grace. She didn't deserve that.
Absolutely. No way. No way does she deserve that. That's something that just should have never happened, period.
Okay.
All right.
Moving on to Tyra Banks. Now, Mom, you know Yaya DaCosta.
Yes.
So
yes.
She also was a former contestant on America's Next Top Model. Now she is an actress.
Yes.
She's publicly shared that she has fully forgiven Tyra Banks after experiencing trauma on the show. Now, this comes after Tyra's speech at the 2025 Essence Black Women in Hollywood Awards, where she acknowledged that the iconic modeling competition show, America's Next Top Model, did not always get things right. She admitted to making hurtful and controversial remarks that affected the models involved. Now, DaCosta was runner-up in, I think, cycle 3.
Okay.
And, she and Tyra didn't have the best relationship because she was criticized for wearing African-inspired outfits and being deemed too natural for not fitting traditional beauty standards. Mm-hmm. And this caused, DaCosta was not happy with Tyra.
Right.
And, she felt that the whole experience was a little bit traumatizing for, because that was the career that she was in and wanted to pursue.
Right.
And felt that she can have a lane of her own doing that.
Yeah.
But she has forgiven Tyra and they have spoken. What are your thoughts on
Well,
on
good.
this?
I'm glad that they came together. I'm glad they have a mutual understanding and appear to have mutual respect for each other. Mm-hmm. And it never got so nasty publicly that it was, oh, you be, oh, you this, oh, you that. It never went that way. Mm-hmm. It seemed to be, I don't want to say creative differences, but they seem to have kept it at a level of civility even during the disagreements. Okay, that they were able to either not talk and be peaceful about it or talk it out and come to real resolution. So that's what I'm hearing and sensing from it. you know.
Yeah, and I also think that, Tyra has gotten a lot of criticism, after the fact. And I think, some of it is just and some of it isn't. I think that, when you are one of the first to do whatever it is that you're doing, or the first to do, a particular thing, there is a learning curve that, everyone is seeing in real time.
Absolutely.
And I think that, the woman that she is now wouldn't do some of the things that she did 15 years ago, know?
And you know what? And also that is absolutely true. And also for Yaya, it's the thing that, look, I, got exposure, it's helped me get, acting gigs and, on and on, right?
And just being proud of who you are. But I think that that was great that Yaya had that sense of self at a young age.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
And Tyra was more about, making money and, just kind of, not that she wasn't proud of being a black woman, but feeling that this is the direction that to go to for success, and thinking that she's helping people. I don't think she felt that she was hurting anyone.
Of course not.
So,
and I don't think she actually was hurting anyone. And
telling Yaya not to wear her African attire.
I mean, long term. Okay, that might have hurt her feelings in the moment, but at the same time, it still gave her exposure. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's, you know what I mean? It's that kind of balance that you're looking at. So I got it.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to someone that I like a lot. Sometimes I don't agree with a lot. That's Mr. Shannon Sharp. He has been criticized recently for some of the guests that he's had on his show. One is Amber Rose, and the other one is Andrew Schultz.
Both of whom are controversial, in their different lanes.
Right.
Yes.
I don't know if Amber Rose, we already know. Andrew Schultz, all the stuff that he said that was offensive to the black community in particular. Jokes about black women and their appearance, and just his comedy in general is just kind of
I did
lowbrow.
Yeah, you know what I did? What? I just sort of just randomly, very randomly now. Okay, so I don't want anybody to come after me. Just very randomly, sort of tuned in on a little snippet of the interview with Shannon and Andrew Schultz.
Okay.
And I happened to come in at a time when Andrew Schultz was explaining that these two young, I don't know how young, but youngish, black British men were on his show. And they were the ones who were making insulting comments about the appearance of the black women in Atlanta, saying that black women in Atlanta were not attractive.
Okay.
And this is right on there on the thing, on the interview with Andrew Schultz and Shannon. Mm-hmm. And he himself was not making any kind of derogatory comments about Atlanta and black women. He was simply responding to, this is what he said. Turn it on and listen to it.
But I heard the interview with the guys.
Yeah. Okay, you heard the interview with the guys. I'm telling you, the interview with Shannon, the guys weren't there.
No. Okay. But the interview with the guys,
what he was doing,
this whole controversy.
Yeah. What he was doing,
and he was making fun of black women.
What he was doing, he says, was only responding to them. In other words, no, this is not my argument. In other words, what I felt in that moment is that he was flipping the script to try to put the onus, like, no, I'm not that person, putting it on these two young British black men. That is clearly what he was doing when he was talking to Shannon. I don't know how true it is.
Yeah, no.
I'm just telling you, sitting there face to face with Shannon, this is how Andrew Schultz was talking.
We're making fun of the people in the black women in Atlanta, but then Andrew Schultz took it to another level about black women in general and started.
That's where he was doing the about face.
Yeah.
That's where he was doing the fancy two-step. I'm just telling you, when he got in front of Shannon,
he said stuff about slavery. He said he's made jokes about slavery.
I got it.
You know,
I got it. I got it.
You know,
I'm
kind of
telling
being
you,
like a
he
choice
was in front of Shannon's face.
Stuff.
In front of Shannon's face, he was singing a different tune.
Okay,
that's all I'm saying.
Gotcha. That's totally fine. I did not watch the Andrew Schultz interview.
I didn't watch the whole thing, but I saw that snippet, and I called BS immediately and went on and, you know, tuned away.
I did watch a good bit of the controversial interview that Andrew Schultz had with the two young black British guys. I did see that. And it did not make him look good. I've also seen clips of him making fun of other ethnic groups, in general,
and that's who he is. That is definitely who he is, and that's how I felt when I heard him talking.
Right.
That's exactly how I felt. I called BS immediately and turned away. Right. That's why I only saw a snippet.
And then I also heard him say that if 50 Cent doesn't like you, then he doesn't like you. And so that made me really discredit him. So I'll just leave that alone.
If 50 Cent, what?
If 50 Cent doesn't like you or isn't rocking with you, I'm not rocking with you or don't like you. So that puts things in perspective.
Well, that was what you already know about 50. Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, what I will say about Shannon is that I didn't like that he had those people on his show, but he has the right to have whoever he wants on his show. And I just think that if we were living in a world where there was more equality and people weren't so extreme, I wouldn't have as much anger or disdain for, you know, seeing some of these people on these shows. But I think that Shannon's job is to interview everyone.
Right.
I think that I'm not blaming him for doing it. I just probably wouldn't do it.
Right.
But not that they're coming here to do it in the first place.
Right.
But I just don't think that I could sit through it. I don't know. I'm just not that person yet. But he's not wrong for interviewing them.
Right.
We have this thing called freedom of speech.
Yes. Yes.
So
and also we have this thing called business and marketability and numbers and
capitalism.
Yeah, right. Okay. So we understand and we move on.
Okay. Moving on this is just kind of really minor, but Ted Lasso has been officially renewed for a 4th season, and Jason Sudeikis is coming back, and he is going to coach a women's soccer team this time. Are you interested in Ted Lasso season 4, or do you think it should stay off?
Oh geez, I don't know. I think I'd watch it to see I think I'd watch it at least the first couple of episodes. I think I'll watch it. Because it's a women's team. Mm-hmm. Let's see how that goes. Let's see how things work out for the ladies. Not even for Ted Lasso, but let's see how they evolve, you know, and what type of sponsorship support, financial support, fan support. You know, let's see how interested and invested others are in this female team. And also, here's the other part. Here's the human interest part. Well, that is too. But let's see how Ted Lasso
has evolved.
Right.
Yeah.
In terms of his romantic life and his personal stability and personal fulfillment. You know, there's a few people who were left kind of dangling in the air from the previous season. So yeah, I'll tune it back in. Yeah, it doesn't matter to me necessarily that he isn't coaching the same team. Yeah. That doesn't necessarily matter to me, because to me they can make it. You know, they have a number of talented coaches. You know, if you want to follow the storyline from the past, you know, and they'll be fine.
I'll tune in, because I didn't enjoy Ted Lasso. I just felt that it ended, and that's fine. I don't like for stories to continue on and on and on and on without purpose. But it's good that they're changing it up with a
Right.
female team. So
And let's see what the writers do.
We'll see how that works,
Right?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't. Should it still be called Ted Lasso? But yes, I guess so. We'll see.
Well, he's still Ted Lasso.
He's still Ted Lasso.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I would have been happy with a spinoff, but that's a whole nother story.
Well,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
They got to pull in their fan
They have
base,
to pull,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now I know you saw this on. It was trending yesterday, and that was Miss Tiana Taylor, who went off on Instagram Live, and she was talking about her ex-husband and saying that accusing him of leaking details about their divorce and also details about a settlement. She claims that there was actually really no settlement, and that he walked away with several properties, and the things that you're hearing put out there is not true. She claims that she had spoken to him before and said that she was receiving like death threats, and that he did nothing to kind of stop it. He kept relaying all type of information that was not true and leaking information. And so she was very upset, and she was just saying that she doesn't like to do this stuff. She likes to be more of a private person. I don't know what you think about this, but I have a couple thoughts, so go ahead.
Tiana, if you don't want your business spread, don't spread it. If you don't want the intimate details of your business spread around social media, put out there once again for public consumption, don't put it out there. You can only control yourself. For some reason, you wanted to be in control of the narrative, so you got on whatever form of social media you were on and started discussing your business. What do you care if the public thinks or knows certain things? If these are issues that are of concern to you, then you will never resolve them by discussing it on via public media, social media. You will only resolve it with the individual involved, your former husband, imam, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or attorneys, whichever one. Be wonderful if you could work it out without attorneys and save yourself some money, but apparently you all are too hostile or whatever, unreasonable to do that, okay? Because guess what? You wouldn't need attorneys for anything to do with your personal business if you would come to a decision yourself. Or if you just want things formalized, it would cost you a lot less money to come to an agreement and then get it memorialized legally.
Mm-hmm.
Your attorney's fees would be much smaller. But fighting costs everybody a lot of money. Fighting legal is expensive. Okay? So the only thing you did wrong is come on social media running your mouth about your private business. That's between you and him, whoever got whatever.
Yeah.
Social media can't give it to you. So you didn't get the house, the car, the cat, the dog, the sink, the jewelry, the whatever. You didn't get it. You think you're going to get it social media? You think people care? They think about you for 5 minutes and then they're on to the next. Handle your business. You have a family with this man. Handle your business.
Well,
Not on social media.
Well, I mean, I really just agree with everything that you said. Whatever is put in the media about what she got and what she didn't get, who knows? Because it initially came out that she got a lot in a settlement, and now she's claiming that there was no settlement and this stuff is not true. Who cares?
Right.
I think the issue is that you're talented. We see that you're very talented. She was very good. She's a good actress. We know she is a good dancer. We've seen her do these things. Continue on your trajectory, which you're doing right now, and don't worry about the stuff that you see online, because Tiana, 5 minutes people will be talking about that, and they're on to something else next.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely,
that part, and her saying that she didn't want this type of attention. Well, you're making it worse.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't want your business spread, don't spread it.
Don't spread it, right?
Just that simple.
Okay. On to Anthony Mackie, who has sparked controversy for his recent comments about masculinity and raising his sons when he was on the Pivot podcast. He said that American masculinity is under attack, and he described it as the death of the American male. Over the past 2 decades, he emphasized his approach to raising his sons, focusing on instilling values of respect, manners, and responsibilities, such as saying yes, sir, and no, ma'am, opening the doors for women, and caring for their mother. Now, those are the things that I thought were very positive and could be either gender, or any gender, not either gender, any gender.
Right.
The ones that were a little bit, troubling, and I think he was just running his mouth, was when he said going overseas, going to another country, and somebody has on man have on tight clothes, and him, Anthony Mackie like he wants to fight. Now all of that was just very, very foolish.
Right.
And I think he was just trying to be what he calls macho.
Yeah.
When he said that.
Yeah, of course.
As far as having those values for your sons or your daughters or whomever, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting your children to be mannerly and have manners, and have respect. Go ahead. Sorry, Mom.
Yeah. No, I'm in full agreement. What I think is that, those who are criticizing him need to be realistic. You don't have to agree with everything he says, because some of it was very tongue-in-cheek, I'm sure. Okay? The fashion and all this different stuff. Those kind of things are almost irrelevant to the core issues, which are issues of responsibility, respect, and pride. And I believe that that is what he is instilling in his children. Right. And that's what I think. It could be either gender, they just happen to be boys. I don't think he would be different with girls. However, I'm not going into, I don't want to break it down by gender and ethnicity, but we know that there's been a bigger void in certain groups and certain genders than in others. Mm-hmm. We know that. Quantifiably, we know that.
Yeah. And
okay.
No need to ignore the elephant in the room.
Right. And that's the issue. And I'm going to tell you right now, families will benefit immensely if we had way more Anthony Mackies. We would benefit immensely. He is not a detriment. He is an asset to a family. Mm-hmm. And that's how I feel.
Right. He's educated. He's hardworking.
Right.
Those are two very important things.
And he's there and connected with his family.
And he's present. How about that?
There you go.
Present.
There you go.
Okay. All right, Ma. So we're going to move into something that is definitely not serious, but probably one of our favorite segments. Let's see. Married at First Sight. Now, they wrapped up what we thought was the end of the season, but oh no, they'll be back next week with some more after the marriage. But they did wrap up the reunion. So let's start off with Tom and Camille, which we know Tom and Camille are still together. They've been together, married for a year.
I never thought I would like them so much as I grew to like them.
But now I'm worried.
Oh, why?
Now I'm worried because...
Oh, no. Don't tell me you found out something.
No. Did you see Tom? I don't know who Tom was talking to. I don't know if it's his friend or... it was a man. It was not any type of romantic thing. But he was saying... It made it seem like he was concerned about the romantic aspect, the, over-the-top love and stuff that he seemed to be missing from his marriage to Camille. And that made me worried. Now, maybe that was all taken out of context.
Right.
But I don't like that.
Right.
And I worry about Tom because Tom was late to get married the first time.
So you think he might be a commitment phobe?
And yes. And we know that his last relationship ended because he got bored. And he cheated.
Well, a lot of people will say you got bored because you're boring.
Well, yes,
You
all
know,
of those things are applicable to him.
Yeah. Well,
so I don't know what.
let's just please. I don't want to speak it into existence.
I don't want to either, but I saw that.
I understand.
And it made me worry.
Well, let's just see how things go. Because individually, I really like them both.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just grew to like them both. I didn't think I'd like Camille as much as I did, but as time passed, I grew to like her more.
Yeah, me too.
Thomas, I kind of always liked.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we all have our foibles and shortcomings and all that. So, let's just see how that all works out. But they are not people that you find difficult to like. They're very likable people.
Yes.
You know, as a unit and separately.
But there's something about that I always worry about when, and this is a gender thing, and this isn't good.
Yeah.
When I see the woman in the relationship say, "Oh, I want you to be more aggressive sexually," or "want you," that's 100% what you can say in private.
Right.
But when you start talking about that stuff out in public, I think that the man never forgets that you said that.
Right.
And it
It's
changes the dynamic of the relationship.
Right.
And so I'm a little bit concerned about
it's
that.
It's demeaning to him.
Yes. And so I'm a little worried. But let's see. I'm just going to think positive thoughts because I like them both.
Right.
But I'm starting to like Camille more.
You're starting to like Camille more?
More. Yes.
Okay. And she's the one who said that.
Right.
And you're liking her more?
Not because she said that, but because I like her personality. I think that she's like a stand-up type of person.
Right.
And I think she has a sweet personality. I think that Tom is a commitment phobe.
Okay.
I think that part
you
of
think
it.
that's legit?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
but I don't think but that doesn't mean that I think she should have said what she said. I felt
I understand.
She should have kept that
in
off
spite
camera.
of that,
Yeah.
you felt, I got you. I think so too. I think she should have kept, the concerns and desires and whatever, that part. She's no longer going through this little tutorial with the experts,
Right.
I think she should have, at this point, it's on them to stretch out however they want to stretch out. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Carla and Juan, just not a lot there ever. Juan supposedly is dating someone else, has a girlfriend. Carla does not have a boyfriend, but I guess she goes on dates. I did not like this relationship ever, and I felt bad for Carla. But go ahead.
Same. I'm in full agreement with you. That's all I saw was Juan being cute and very likable, but not romantic. And guess what? I'm in here trying to get a man. Mm-hmm. And I want you to be a full man to me, if this is what I expect in my marriage.
Right.
Now, guess what? Well, now let me quantify that, or qualify that, I should say, by saying maybe some people don't have certain expectations. Fine. Good.
Right.
If you don't.
Right.
But it's when we have expectations that we get disappointed. That is 100% true. Mm-hmm. And the expectation, and most people's expectation, would be that they would click somehow, or work on connecting physically at some point, and they never did.
No,
they never did connect.
Not at all.
But Juan never even attempted to connect.
He didn't want to. He wasn't attracted to her.
And you know what? And I hate to keep saying it. Well, I don't hate to keep saying it. I felt that from the very beginning.
You did.
I felt the way he looked at her at that altar was not the way I've seen other people look at, each other from the very beginning.
Right.
He looked at her like, what? Oh no. He had the look on his face where he looked down at her and he looked right at her body. Because look, he doesn't know her. He can only be looking at her physically, right?
Yes.
And the disappointment was right there from the very beginning, and he never moved one inch from there. Right. Never moved an inch from there. And so if I'm Carla, well, she got her TV time in. She pulled her 8 weeks, But let me tell you, honey, it was very demeaning. And they were in all kind of sexual, sensual situations where things could have been whoop-de-doo. They had lovely drinks and food and all kind of aphrodisiacs, and they were in beautiful areas. They were in the water taking pictures all under the water and doing all this and that, and everything was so beautiful. And still nothing. And still nothing. And I never seen. And then they bring in some kind of out of shape, eccentric, tantric yoga or guru or whatever. I never seen that. I've seen tantric yoga many times on TV, and they wrap around each other and they have all these poses. I've seen it many times, and it is known to be very sexual and sensual.
We know, Ma.
But wait a minute, this one wasn't.
Well, no, it was a laughing match.
And wait a minute, even when she was trying to stimulate him, his genitalia, he was over there laughing. He was laying on the floor laughing. But I never seen a third party end with it like that.
Yes, but
they give you instructions. She's coming there naked halfway,
and she was not very attractive
with a very repulsive looking body. And
she was a lot older than them, too.
And just forget
everything.
And she sits down and she decides to be the one to do the sexual stimulating. I'm like, what the hell, tantric yoga? The ones I saw, I've seen them explain poses, show pictures of poses. I never seen them actually participate.
All right.
So it was just a big dud between Carla and Juan.
Mm-hmm. All right. A dud. Let's move on to Akechi and that was a dud.
I think you have to talk about that one, daughter, because I don't understand it. Maybe you could explain it to me, because I just didn't get it, period.
Well, we do know that Akechi has been reading, all of the DMs and seeing all the things on, social media that's been talking about him and describing him just like he is, which was trash on the show. Because he came there trying to apologize in his shape or form, and then he lies. And something is just odd with him, because what is the host name? What's no name? Kevin Frazier. Mm-hmm. Kevin asked him, "Are you seeing somebody?" "Yeah, I'm seeing someone." "Oh, Then the next episode, he's not seeing anybody. He's doing him. He's, doing other stuff, the music stuff. What? Hey, this is a 40-something-year-old man.
Twilight Zone.
He does not want to be married. He does not. I don't know what he wants.
I don't know either.
And then he had the nerve to not shake Brandon's hand, MM's fiance.
Right. And Brandon called it. Brandon said, "I know. Watch, he won't shake my hand."
And why won't he shake his hand?
Right.
You dogged MM out,
right.
And she's moved on.
You should be glad he took MM off your hands. It should be wonderful for you if you felt that way. But you know what? That goes to show. He really did feel small in comparison to MM.
Well, we knew that.
Did. Well, but that's an admission.
So that's why he didn't want to be intimate with her? Because she was down for the cause, as we see.
Yes. Okay. He felt small. He felt that he felt, I don't know why. I don't know all of why. I have some idea. I don't know all of why.
But some of why.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. Yes, he did. You think if he felt good, if he thought he was going to be laying it down like that, he would have had that attitude? You think if he would have thought, well, however this goes, everything's going to be good with this aspect or that aspect?
No.
He didn't have any aspect that he felt things was going to go down well.
No.
Nothing.
He did not.
That's it.
He did not. You're right. Okay. So that was just a disaster. But MM is happy. But MM, she had some sad news. She and Brandon had suffered a miscarriage. But they are still together. Yeah. And they've been together for a year.
And, good for them. I didn't even think it would be that. Good for them.
Good for them. And I hope that they get married and that they, have a happy
experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
We'll see what happens, because guess what? We'll be seeing some more of them on next week's episode.
That's right.
Now let's get into some other disasters. Michelle. I'm just doing Michelle herself because there is no Michelle and David.
Right.
Michelle, there's somebody out there for Michelle. I don't think that Michelle is a bad person. I think Michelle had a bad attitude.
Right.
I think Michelle was very frigid. I think she wasn't willing to be open to the experience. I think even if her and David didn't work out, with her giving it her all, I think that she would have been a happier person. I think she would have been ready to receive her right person if she had a better attitude.
Right.
Instead, she looked over at David. I don't think she was physically attracted to him. And then I also think, him living in the basement, that really, made everything just go downhill from there.
Right.
Instead of having a talk with him and saying, David, you're 37 years old and you're living at home with your parents. Like, what are your plans? Like, what do you want to happen? How do you see your future? And, once this experiment is over, if we stay together, what do you think we should do? Do you want to move into my place?
That's too easy. That's too obvious.
Why didn't you do any of that?
Well, I think Michelle has serious problems. I don't think Michelle is ready to be in a relationship with anyone right now. Michelle is very attractive. She's attractive.
Well, not
she's
very.
Well, whatever. She's fine. Whatever.
She's
and
fine.
Yeah,
you made it seem you made it seem like it's Megan Fox.
And I didn't
Megan Good.
I didn't say either one of those, but she looks very nice, and everything. Where you can't just say anything really bad about her. She looks, fine. So, and she's, holding her own, not dependent on anything.
Right.
She's coming in, offering a complete person in terms of those things. Emotionally, I think she's got a lot of issues because I think the way she handled it all the way around was bad. I think she was cowardly. I think she should have gotten out of it. I think if
she wouldn't even kiss him.
Right. I think she should have gotten out of it if she really wanted to be out of it. If she knew it just wasn't going to work for her or whatever, or she just didn't like him to that extent, she should have gotten out of it rather than to stay there. All she did was create and make drama. Fine. Maybe she's looking for a career in show business.
She doesn't seem like it.
I don't know what she seems like. I'm not sure exactly what she seems like. She doesn't seem like she's looking for any man, because then, look, wait a minute now. If I broke off with David, or he broke off with me, whatever, me and him broke up, whichever way. Hold up.
I hope you're not gonna say Alan. Is that what you was about to say?
We're gonna be friends.
Maybe Alan doesn't like her like that.
We're gonna be friends.
Maybe.
Did you hear what I said?
Yes.
We're gonna be friends.
We can be friends.
We're gonna be friends.
But you can find somebody else. Just stop.
We're gonna be friends. No, they should have been friends right there on the show. Because doesn't mean that they be together romantically. She's showing that she's open to meeting other people. That needs to be the entree that we see from her. We don't need to see her sitting in this chair, sad sack, talking about blah, blah, blah,
and that's how she came across.
That's exactly right. That's not good. That indicates that a whole lot of issues going on. She was almost Akichi or somebody. Nah, that's not a good look.
Yeah.
That's not a good look. Because I didn't click with this one doesn't mean I'm not gonna click with
somebody else.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, so that's how I felt about Michelle. But anyway,
and let's move on to Alan. Now, Alan, I think Alan still holds a lot of resentment, towards Madison.
Yeah.
But he is dating, and I guess that's his girlfriend. I'm not sure.
Right.
But at least
putting himself out there.
He's moved on.
There you go. He's putting him there. And that's the first step.
Right.
That's the first step. Take the steps and everything else will follow. Take the steps and everything else will follow. And there's one thing that Alan said that I totally agreed with. I was totally simpatico with him when he said, I may have gotten Invisalign and some, nice clothes and different clothes and all that stuff. He said, but those things are surface. Those things are superficial. He said, I never changed the core of who I am. He said, what is it to snap in the Invisalign and put on some nice clothes? That's just or new clothes or whatever. That's 1, 2, 3. He was right. He was right. And those are things that will only, hey, guess what? They only gonna help you.
Right.
They're not gonna hurt you. Invisalign is not gonna mess up your teeth. Okay?
Right.
Nice clothes is not gonna make you look worse.
Right.
You know. So, you know, I understood him, I felt him, and I thought that he had a very realistic and positive attitude. The things that are lingering, you know, in his heart and in his mind, he's taken the steps to resolve all that and get over that. So
for
I
sure.
love that. I love that.
I liked it too, Ma. I agree with you. You know, like I said, there seemed to be a little bit resentment left, but for the most part, I think he's moving in a much more healthy way than Michelle.
There you go.
Him, like, you know, to your point, him and Michelle could have been real good friends and helped each other through that experience.
A spoon coon.
Didn't mean that they have to be lovers.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, he really didn't kind of need Michelle as much as she seems to need him, because he's moved on with romantic partners, you know, or seeking, or maybe even have found. We don't really know, but he's out there doing it, you know.
Yeah. Okay, and finally, David and Madison. Now, they're still together as well.
There are renegades, Romeo and Juliet.
Oh my God.
Renegade, right?
Yeah, they're still together.
They couldn't stop supporting each other.
And there's clips that he may ask to marry her.
Okay.
Now, my thing with them is that they could have just held off just a little bit.
In an ideal world, David wouldn't have been up there half drunk and crazy and sending it to the wrong woman.
All right.
And then, but guess what?
What?
It just really dawned on me something that's so obvious. He didn't even pretend with Michelle that he meant it for her. Because it's very easy to say, I meant it for you.
Right.
I wanted to see if things could open up with you, you know, or whatever. He didn't even bother.
Right.
He thought of that. You know, I mean, that had to cross his mind. At that point, he was checked out.
Right.
He was checked out and didn't care about her before that.
Right.
I don't know how much more, but before that, he was already on Michelle.
Right.
Completely.
Right.
Because he could have just said, if he was still wavering about their relationship and thinking, you know, hopefully and positively, he would have said, well, Michelle, you know, I sent it to you just to see how you would take it or what, you know.
He could have said that.
He never even bothered. He just started making up lies.
They said he could have blamed it on AI. He could have blamed it on AI.
Anything. Right.
Yeah.
You know, he just thought, but he was checked out. He didn't want to. You know, so.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
So that was a very, you know, we'll see what happens with them. I don't know how many more episodes they're going to have of the, you know, after the ceremony.
Whatever we say about it, guys, we keep tuning in. I know I'm going to tune into the next one.
I'll tune in. All right, Ma, I need you to tell me 3 things that made you smile.
I'm going to give you 4. I'm going to give you 5.
Oh, boy.
The sun, the stars, the moon, spring, and family.
Oh, I love that.
Okay.
I'm going to go with family, friends, and now basketball.
Yay! March Madness. Yes.
All right, Ma. Is there anything that you want to say before we go?
Everyone, take care of yourself. Fight for your rights. And do the right thing. That's it.
All right. Like Ma said, everybody, thank you as always for continuing to support the Bamgboshe Happy Hour. You know, follow us as always on whatever your preferred streaming platform. We will be back again on Sunday with a brand new episode. Take it easy and subscribe to all things Peju, home of the Bamgboshe Happy Hour. See you soon. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and check out full episodes of the Bamgboshe Happy Hour podcast, streaming on most platforms.